Thanks, everyone. This will be our final press conference for the morning. I'm delighted to introduce you to Dr. Derek Barchenger. He's the 2025 recipient of the Norman E. Borlaug Award for Field Research and Application, endowed by the Rockefeller Foundation. Derek is the senior scientist and head of the Global Pepper Breeding Program at the World Vegetable Center. So we're delighted to have you here, Derek, and congratulations. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Please.
Right, so at the World Vegetable Center, we don't just work in pepper, we work in about 30 different crops, breeding, production, nutrition, consumption, all aspects of vegetables. And so, yes, I do talk a lot about nutrition. The example that I love to give is that, one bell pepper has about 6 times more vitamin C than an orange. So, of course, that is also dependent on the soil. Um, we haven't worked too much on the influence of soil on minerals and nutrients in peppers, but we do see it a lot in mung bean. So we have one of the oldest breeding programs of mung bean in the world, and it's a very important crop for South and Central Asia, Southeast Asia. They eat a lot of mung bean. And so if you grow mung bean in high iron soils, you can also have very high iron in your mung beans. So that's something that we've seen a lot. But for peppers, since we eat the fruit and not the leaves so much, the connection between the soil and the nutrients in the produce is not so connected. Thank you.
Are there questions? We have one here and then one in the back. We'll take both together. You can address them. Angeline? So what's next? And then next question.
Great. So for what's next, the challenges that pepper farmers are facing worldwide are still tremendous. There's still so many areas of research that we have to tackle and work on. Um, so it seems like, and it's a job security, I think, but whenever we tackle one problem, another one comes. So it's a big issue. We have right now huge issues with thrips. It's a small arthropod insect pest that causes devastating problems with chili. And it just sprung up in 2022 in South Asia and became the #1 problem on everyone's mind. So we're right now tackling thrips. But in the past, it was virus or anthracnose. So there's so many issues that we have to work on. Of course, developing and disseminating varieties as quickly as possible is our main goal. But we have so much research to do still in pepper to try to address these issues. Thank you. And so for the private sector, I don't know if I can promote we have a deep dive at 2:00, and we're talking just about that area. So the World Vegetable Center focuses. We have a novel strategy for working with the private sector, which is a consortium approach. So we will link our institution with a large number of companies through a consortium, and there's a benefit sharing that occurs. So they fund our research, and they also get early access to some of the materials that we develop. And we also co-design and co-fund research projects together. And we're only able to do that through our consortia. So we have 2 right now, the Asia Pacific Seed Association Consortium, and then the African Vegetable Plant Breeding Consortium in Africa. And so that's really the strategy that we've taken. And it's been hugely beneficial for me and also for farmers. And the reason it's beneficial to me is because I'm really able to tap into the problems that are facing farmers quickly. I think no one really understands the challenges that farmers face than the people who sell the farmers the seed. And they understand what they're always talking to farmers because they're marketing their product. So they know what challenges farmers are facing. So being able to access that information from our consortia companies has been hugely beneficial. And of course, in Asia, not so much in Africa, or less to a lesser extent in Africa, but in Asia, about 85% of vegetable seed is sold by the private sector. So in Africa, we have much more informal seed systems, mixed seed systems, but in Asia, it's very privatized for vegetables. And so being able to reach impact basically has to be done through the private sector.
Other questions? Yes, please.
Right, that's an excellent question. So again, a lot of that is with the private sector. They tell us what we call it market segmentation or target product profiles that are needed for what area. So they will say there's a huge problem for yellow habanero in northern Nigeria, for example. And so we can kind of gather that information and test our material and see what's possible. We also work closely with the CGIR on market intelligence, Breeding for Tomorrow programs, to gather market intelligence data, understand what consumers need, what farmers need, what processors need. So pepper, compared to other vegetables, is a little unique in that it's a globally traded commodity. So India, for example, is a huge exporter of dry red chili and chili powder. So we need to understand what challenges Indian farmers are facing, and also the preferences of the EU and the US consumers who are importing that chili. And we also address food safety issues. I don't know how much everyone is aware, but there's a big problem in dry chili powder with contamination through additives. So if you store the chili powder too long, it degrades in color. And so there is the temptation to add colorants that may be toxic or carcinogens to the chili powder. So we work on increasing color retention to try to make sure that there's no motivation to contaminate the powder. So we work on all of those aspects. Right. So pepper has a huge number of nutrients that are really important for human health. Vitamin C, and then all the carotenoids. So provitamin A, lutein, these are all really, really important for especially women, female health during pregnancy, but to all people. And so we really make sure that we are not releasing anything that is lower than normal standards. So if you look at the USDA website, they will tell you bell pepper has X amount of nutrients. We make sure that we are at least that much. And then a big focus of the World Vegetable Center is to promote diversity, right? We don't expect everyone or anyone to get all their nutrients from one crop. We want people to have a diverse color on their plate and making sure that they're getting the greens and the reds and the oranges so that they balance their nutrition. And of course, all of our breeding programs focus on that. So if your crop is high in vitamin A, you try to increase vitamin A and vitamin C also, but yeah.
Any final question? Yes, please.
Right. Thanks for that. So I think that's what really makes the World Vegetable Center pepper breeding program relevant, is that we aren't doing good by good. So whenever we say we co-developed 24 varieties in the last year, the World Vegetable Center has the policy that I actually can't release any variety myself. Everything has to be released through our partners. And there's a couple reasons for that. The main one is that we don't want to be competition. So if there's a national program that's releasing a variety, we don't want to be in competition with them at all. And so the private sector, through our consortia, really value us because we are able to access the world's largest vegetable gene bank, which exists at the World Vegetable Center, and introgress those key traits that are really difficult to manage or breed with, and move them into adapted material that the seed companies can then use to release and develop their own good by good crosses. So really, I see myself, of course, I'm a pepper breeder, but I'm more of a pre-breeder. I'm working to develop technologies that can be uptaken by seed companies and national programs for registration and release.
Any final questions? Yes.
Right. So I just actually came from the Global Youth Institute, and I gave this same answer. For me, I think there's two aspects that I really like to highlight. And the first one is that the science that we do is, of course, high impact science that has big discovery is really, really important. But I really think that we need to value our science based upon livelihoods, how much impact we've reached, how many farmers we've helped. I think that's really, really important. So when you're planning your experiments and your research, really think about who's going to benefit and how and why. I think that's really, really important. And the other thing that I think is also interesting, or that's been really helpful for me, is finding your passion, right? I became passionate about peppers and vegetables from a very young age and have been able to build a career out of that. Work doesn't feel like work to me. And I think if we can all do that, it would be really, really beneficial. I understand it's a challenge, but I think that's something we can all strive for.
Any final questions? Great. Derek, thank you very much, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much.